This episode of Walt Disney World Today is sponsored by MEI and Mousefan Travel, specializing in cruises and packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. For current offers, visit their website at www.mousefantravel.com.
This is Walt Disney World Today. Give us 5 minutes and we'll give you the world.
It's Wednesday, April 11th, 2007, and this is episode 242 of Walt Disney World Today. I'm Matt Hochberg of MGMstudios.org. On the show today, we have Len Testa, co-author of The Unofficial Guide to Walt Disney World. Hi, Len.
How's it going, Matt?
Super, Len! I'm so excited to be here.
I'm so excited, and I just can't hide it.
Scopa, you know the words.
I'm about to lose control. Just can't. I think I like it. Pointer Sisters. We could be the Pointer Sisters. We could be was it from Muppets?
Oh, the 3Ds?
The 3Ds.
Hi, I'm Darla. I'm Darcy. I'm Fred. Yeah, well, Debbie was 6 and the union said me.
By the light, by the light. Not the sun, but the moon.
Also on the show today is Mike Scopa of MousePlanet.com. Welcome, Mike.
You think you're ready to pilot a brain fuzzy?
Oh, the best attraction in the world, Cranium Command.
Cranium Command.
I love that film. It's Wednesday. We're answering listener questions, including yours. And if your name is Angela, then that's correct. And Angela's email says, I love many of the memorable lines from the podcast, and I feel that there are many more that should be on some of your offerings at Cafe Press. The apron is a wonderful place for many of the adages, but I also would love to see them on things like pillows or even something like that on a coffee mug. The Oh Lou comments are some of my favorite and would be great to have on your merchandise page. The podcast is wonderful, and I wish you all the best with your upcoming episodes. We do have to. We should
update the Cafe Press. Yeah.
We should just get a whole shirt saying, "Oh Lou's great. I love Lou."
Oh, Lou.
Although we do have very smart listeners, because one of them wrote to us on back after our April Fool's joke about me leaving for Lou's show. One of our listeners, Justin Lendons, wrote, "Great. I thought I would have to start listening to WDW shows featuring, oh, Matt is so cool. Matt is so smart."
Yeah, you're safe.
Surprised no one came up with that before then.
That's the only reason why we brought it back. Exactly.
Next email's from Disney Paul of Clinton Township, Michigan, who writes, "Okay, guys, I hear you talking about going to Walt Disney World by yourself, and although I understand some of you may be going for research, quote-unquote,
nice.
I've got to ask, how does your significant other allow you to go to Walt Disney World without them? If I told my wife that I was going to Walt Disney World without her, I better be prepared for the locks to be changed when I return.
Exactly.
If I'm going to Disneyland or Walt Disney World, then my wife and kids are coming along. What's the secret?" Glenn?
Well, for me, it's the fact that we do so much research every day. Literally, we're up at 5:30 or 6 o'clock in the morning, and we don't get home till midnight. That my wife just doesn't want to do it. So she doesn't want to have anything to do with walking until your feet bleed or spending 16 hours in the sun. She's there to have fun and relax and do spa research. And that's why she doesn't want to go.
What I found is, there's the saying, there are things worse than death, and I think there are things worse than divorce. It's called guilt. And
we've actually sent Don actually helped out on the Las Vegas guide. So here's how I make up for my frequent trips to Walt Disney World. When Don went to Vegas, when I go to Disney World, I'm usually staying at a $35 to $45 a night hotel. You've all heard my stories about the bugs, right?
Yeah.
When Dawn went to Vegas, she stayed at the Bellagio suite at the Bellagio, which at 1,500 square feet was bigger than the house I grew up in. And that's how Dawn does research. Because I'm not stupid.
Although, if Newell was here, he would tell, I'm going with Newell and Fred Hazelton. We're all going solo in June for a trip. And so we're all going to be guilty about it when we come back. I just know that when I told my fiance about it, I just got to, okay, go with your friends.
I mean, if you think they're more important than me, then go right ahead. If that's what you think. I mean, I hope you're all very happy together.
Any suggestions for Disney, Paul Scopa?
It's really tough to talk about it. In the first place, like Len said, I mean, there are research trips and there are non-research trips. Like when I go with my wife, when I go with Carol, we're there for vacation. So, I mean, we do the attractions, we do everything that I would not normally do if I was there solo, spending an hour or two on Main Street, USA, talking to cast members, checking out the facades of the buildings, or doing a couple things. If I go to any park, I may be just observing a few things or talking or interviewing people. Whereas if I'm going there with Carol and we need to go for a minimum amount of days with her, I have to be on vacation. I mean, we've got this actual agreement saying, when we're together down there, it's like you're not doing nerdy stuff. You're doing just there to enjoy yourself.
Stuff.
I mean, it's
there's a specific list of people you can't meet with when you're there.
Present company
included. The last names are Tessa, Osberg, Hill, Selinger, Mangello, exactly.
Mm. Next email's from Jim of Harrisburg, Pennsylvania. He writes, "All hail Len, the great prognosticator of crowd levels." And hi to you other three guys.
Thanks, Jim.
Just decided to take a quick trip to Disney on April 24th of 2007, Matt. We are staying at Saratoga Springs on DVC points, and to keep the cost down, we are using Magical Express. I have two questions about our trip. I will start with the toughest question first. Can you actually answer this question before we take our trip?
Ooh.
Yes. Okay, with that out of the way, we're going to Donald's Breakfastosaurus on Tuesday at 8 o'clock, the only time they had available. But the Animal Kingdom does not open until 9 a.m. Since Disney Transportation starts running only an hour before the park opening, we're not going to make it in time, especially from Saratoga. I figured we were going to have to get a taxi. We have two little ones with us that require car seats. What do you recommend that could get us there?
Wow.
Also, what is the estimated cost? I know that right about now you're saying we should rent a car, but this is the only transportation issue we have. We do not want the expensive rental car for the few days we are there.
Okay, well, if you're calling a cab, when you make the reservation, and I do that like 24 hours ahead of time, I wouldn't call the morning of.
Oh, yeah.
Do it 24 hours in advance and let people know that you're going to call, that you need a ride, and tell them where and when to meet. But also tell them you need two car seats, and they'll bring them along. And there might be an additional charge for it, but I think that's the least expensive way to go. As far as the cost goes, I don't think there's anything on Disney property that's more than a $12 cab ride, is it?
I don't think so. I mean,
from one way to the other? I don't think so. It can't be.
No. The only thing, Jim, when you're calling them, I would give yourself more time than you think you need. Like if you're thinking, okay, you figure out what time it is and you have a time in your head for when they should get there, give the cab company an extra 10 minutes. Because I don't know if it's just me or something, but I always find cab companies are always late coming to pick me up.
The thing is, I mean, if you have the choice between waiting for the cab company to pick you up and waiting in front of the entrance to the Animal Kingdom, wait in front of the entrance to the Animal Kingdom.
Exactly. If you answer on the podcast before April 23rd, you can read the following. Well, thanks for answering my question on time. I really appreciate the time and effort you put into the show. I know it is a lot of work to get the show out there, and it shows in the quality of the product we get to listen to. Thanks again. Jim says, although if you answer after April 23rd, read the following. I would love to say thanks for the info, but my family and I are stuck in the vast swampland of Disney property. You see, we could not find a reliable taxi company, so we decided to walk to Animal Kingdom. We got lost along the way and had to use our unofficial guide to fend off an alligator. Luckily, it choked on Universal Studios section of the book, so we built a fire using the rest of the book and cooked it. It's just another great reason to rush out and buy the unofficial guide.
Oh, they're getting more creative. That was good.
Very good, Jim. Made my day. Thank you. Next email is from Sarah from Princeton, New Jersey. Who writes, "Hey guys, I have a question for you. Obviously, I'm going to Walt Disney World for a vacation in April, and I haven't been in 5 years' time. Since my last trip, I've become a vegetarian, and I'm lactose intolerant as well. I was wondering if you had any advice, idea, tips for how I can eat healthfully in the resorts and parks, considering my limitations. Thanks so much, and keep up the great work."
Doesn't Deb's book cover that?
Yeah, Deb's The Passporter's Guide to Special Needs is a great resource, Sarah, and I would recommend that you or anyone else who has a special need, like eating healthy, and not so much healthy, but this is a vegetarian diet as well as being lactose intolerant. The only thing, I mean, certainly I spent enough time with on the Darcy dining plan, which is Fred Hazelton's affectionate term for Darcy, who's a researcher for the unofficial guide, and a vegetarian. So she's always going around. It is very hard eating as a vegetarian in the parks because a lot of the fare, especially in the parks, is going to be hot dogs, hamburgers, or some derivative of meat.
Turkey
really.
legs. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. Have you guys have any? I usually found great salads in the studios. I can tell you that ABC Commissary would be a great place for you to try. There's some interesting salads there. If you guys haven't found any vegetarian tips or
Be careful with salads.
yeah, well, go ahead. Go ahead, Scoper.
Len, go first.
Well, why would you have to be careful with the salad?
Well, sometimes everyone, like most of the counter services, will offer like chicken salad, and I would try going up there and saying I like the chicken salad, but without the chicken,
Wouldn't they just call it a garden salad or?
I don't know.
You can get without chicken. Usually they tack it on for the chicken.
Chicken's extra. Yeah.
I'll go for pizza. I would, pizza fiery. Pizza. Would be
Well, she's lactose intolerant. You could get the pizza without the cheese, which Disney doesn't do pizza well.
That's called toast.
It's called toast with fruits. No, there are a ton of fruit stands around all the parks. They do very, very well on that. I think we remember one episode where Christina mentioned the pickle snacks at the Liberty Square in the Magic Kingdom is one option. Also, take a look at the kids' meals, because a lot of the kids' meals are vegetarian. So the entree may be mac and cheese, for example, and with a side of like cinnamon and apples or something like that. So look at the kids' menu for alternatives for vegetarian dining. In addition to what they have listed for adults. Finally, I think you can, at any sit-down restaurant, they will make almost any entree meatless for you.
There is a book that was out a couple of years ago. I'm not sure if it's still out there.
Oh, it was a vegetarian dining or something in Walt Disney World, yeah.
Yeah, vegetarian. It's called Vegetarian Walt Disney World and Greater Orlando, and it was written by Susan Shoemaker and Van Seffel. We'll put a little thing on the show notes.
Yeah, there you go.
We'll do. Next email is from Rachel Anthony, who writes, "Hi guys, the show is great Disney picks for someone who doesn't get to the parks nearly as much as she would like to. I actually used to longingly read Len's unofficial guides when we lived up in Ohio and photocopy and highlight the touring plans like crazy, so I'm delighted that he is part of the podcast. I just have a real quick question for you. Is there a comprehensive list somewhere of rides that you can't go on if you are pregnant? Some seem obvious to me, such as the Mountains and the Magic Kingdom, Rock and Roller Coaster at MGM, etc. But I've looked this up online and seen partial lists of restrictions, but no complete list. We're planning a trip for the near future, and since I prefer to take the conservative approach to pregnancy, I don't want to have to walk all the way back to Hollywood Rapids or wherever to see that I can't go on it. I did see that I can't go on that one, so I'll save myself the hike. I figure we will mostly be going to the show since we are leaving our 16-month-old at home, but I don't want to miss Buzz Lightyear if it isn't necessary. Maybe I'm just not Googling cleverly enough, but any advice on this issue would be awesome. Or if you already covered this in a podcast, you let me know what number. I would be grateful."
Again, actually, go ahead, Len. No, good.
The Disney World has online a guide for every single attraction and what the limitations are, but for people with disabilities, but also any ride warnings that need to go along with them. And I'll post that in the show notes.
Cool.
I was just going to suggest again, Deb's book may have a section on pregnancy. I don't recall I'm just saying that would be the first place I would look. The other thing is that it depends upon, there's first trimester pregnancy, and then there's, depending upon where you are, would make an impact. Obviously, if you're in your 8th or 9th month, it's going to be tough getting in and out of certain ride vehicles. Anything that deals with shaking, like Tower of Terror, Rock and Roller Coaster, Dinosaur,
Primeval
World, Mission Space. She mentioned the Mountains.
All the thrill rides are obviously out, but
any kinds of shaking or spinning.
Definitely check online.
Yeah.
Great. Next email comes from Tim Mead of Cary, Illinois, who writes, "Guys, I love the show and I've been listening for the past 6 months and frequently dip into the archives when searching for specific topics. I'll be in Walt Disney World again next later. My question is specifically for dinner."
First week of April.
First week of April. Perfect. How about April 11th? So my question is specifically for dinner, evening meal. Which resort restaurants would you recommend and why? About 3 years ago, we asked every Disney cast member we ran into the question, if you could eat anywhere on Disney property, where would you go? Overwhelmingly, the answer we got was Boma's at Animal Kingdom Lodge. We tried it and is now one of our favorites. As Disney Vacation Club members, we would like to stay at our home resort. We rarely have our own transportation, I mean rental cars. We rely on Disney transportation, which is the worst between resorts. Therefore, just hopping bus after bus to go about the resorts and trying them all is not high on my list of things to do. I would rather selectively target by recommendation. So, dinner meal in the evening.
Dinner meal in the evening as opposed to dinner in the morning.
Dinner at lunch.
Well.
Yeah.
Which resort restaurants would you recommend, and why?
Dinner. Okay, so I had a really good steak at Yachtsman Steakhouse a couple of weeks ago.
Yeah.
I mean, Yachtsman's actually doing fairly well in terms of the, Fisher Guide reader ranking, so I expected it to be up there. It's been very sort of on. I mean, is money no object?
I guess so. He didn't say anything about it, so we'll, you have to understand that some restaurants might be a little expensive.
I think that a very underrated restaurant, I always say this, is Kona at Polynesian. I think that's a very good place to go. It's always Ohana's is always packed, and Kona is usually crowded, but not as bad. It's not as hard to get into Kona as it is to get into Ohana's, and Kona has great teriyaki steak tips. That would be one that I would look for. Whispering Canyon could be another one at Wilderness Lodge.
I liked, I've been to Chico twice. I went with Len, and both Len and I really didn't like it at all. And I went there again this past February, and I really liked it a lot. So I don't know what it was. I guess Len.
What possibly could have changed?
It was it's like that Geico ad with the cavemen. It was just like, I just lost my appetite. But I'll recommend Chico. It's worth a try. Any other? I think that should help you, Tim.
Let me think. Where else would be good? We went and ate at Schufulis, and I don't love it anymore. I mean, it was great. The food was good. It's just so noisy and so packed all the time. I don't love it. I didn't love Fresh. Tough to say. I don't know. I'm sort of between restaurants right now. I'm sort of between favorite restaurants right now.
Okay. Next email is from Dave Warman of Basingstoke, England. Right, sir. Firstly, many thanks for your wonderful shows about them. Disney would just like to be another park in America. However, that's enough of that. However, you have brought the park to life, and we look forward to our visit in February of next year. My question is, when we come over the pond, which park do you think would be the best to start with? The whole family is coming, so that's my two children, ages 3 and 8, my parents and my wife and I. Bearing in mind, this will not only be Daniel's, a 3-year-old first trip on an airplane, so he'll be excited, but it will be my first going at driving on the wrong side of the road and on the wrong side of the car. So I guess your answer must also take parking, is that you're into consideration? Good park to start with. I mean,
Magic Kingdom.
I don't know about that. You condition the kids to expect a certain level of...
Yeah. No, I don't like going Magic Kingdom first.
You didn't ask me why.
All right, go ahead.
Go ahead.
First generation audio animatronics. That way they can see the progression. They go from Animal Kingdom, and then they go from Magic Kingdom to...
The kid's 3! He's not going to understand the progression.
That's definitely a version 2.0, but I can definitely tell the difference.
Father, you see how in the Magic Kingdom...
They are British children, so they are smarter.
Were pneumatically controlled. These must be hydraulically controlled, because look how fast they are actuated.
Nothing gets by the Brit kids,
I mean, at 3, I'm sure they're running their own company.
Oh, of course. They have the little eyeglass in their eye, and like Mr. Monopoly Man.
They're very perceptive. It's like Stewie on,
If I understand the British educational system, age 3, they're teaching them how to invade France.
My second question.
One day, son, you must rule this country. Learn well. Go ahead.
Can you answer the question?
Yeah, let's answer the question first. I would say I like going either Epcot or Animal Kingdom first, to tell you the truth.
I'll go with Animal Kingdom, and here's why. We know of some internal Disney satisfaction studies that say
no one likes Animal Kingdom.
No, shut up. The earlier you see the Animal Kingdom in your vacation, the more you like it. So it's one of those things where
it's a fond memory. So far away, I don't remember. Everything else was so much better.
I saw that 5 days ago instead of having to look forward to seeing it.
Everything is so much better than that crappy park.
It's one of those things with if you go to the other parks, especially if you spend like 2 days in Magic Kingdom, 2 days in Epcot, and a day in the studios, you've got 5 days worth of Disney parks. And the Animal Kingdom is so different that you're by the 5th day or 6th day, you're conditioned to expect something, and it's such a change up for you that people don't know how to take it. Whereas if you see it first, it's
you don't know any better.
Right, exactly.
Ignorance is bliss. Dave's next question is, my second question is that are there any special events going on while we are there? Our dates are going to be,
Please say July 4th.
no. It's either
in April.
It's either the middle of August or the middle of February. I can't tell.
It's not backward. It's actually a system. It starts with a lower number and works its way up. See, it's nice because days are a small unit of measure, months are the next biggest unit of measure, and then years are the next biggest unit of measure. It all makes sense.
This is crazy talk, man.
But you put March 28th. How do you sort that? You actually have to convert to some other system, especially when you're doing it on a computer. You have to convert it.
It just causes problems, dude.
No, it actually makes a whole lot of sense. When's this trip? Give me the dates.
I don't know. They're backwards.
No, just read them off and I'll tell you what it is.
Oh, well, let's just say that they're soon. No comment.
Last week. Okay, well, I hope you had a good time.
Yeah, I hope you had fun. In the future, you might, well, we'll get to our emails quicker. We're really good at that. This is really the last time we'll ever.
You know what we're going to need to do? We're going to need to provide a phone number for people to call.
A 900 number?
Since you emailed seven months ago, I was, and I'm actually on the ride right now. I just need some advice.
Next email is from Steve from New York. Guys, hey guys, love the podcast. Just back from a family trip that we go to every 2 years or so. We're Disney Vacation Club members and we go to the parks once 1 year and elsewhere the next year. Two things jumped out to my mind during my recent trip. First, my son has a nut allergy, and when we checked in at any of the hotel restaurants around the resort, the host asked about allergies and sent the chef to our table to talk about the menu. We loved it, but we received no such treatment at any of the restaurants in the parks. Any idea why? I'm not talking about counter service. He in fact lists them. Are you interested?
Did they call ahead?
I don't know.
I think in the parks you may have to call ahead, otherwise they're just not going to come out and ask.
Because she says that the restaurants that came by and asked were Ohana, Yachtsman Steakhouse, and Yacht Club Galley. The ones that didn't ask were Chef de France, Hollywood Brown Derby, Nine Dragons, and Hollywood and Vine. So those are all park.
I think the ones in the park are relying on you to identify the allergy rather than them matching it. That's just a guess.
I know that in Le Cellier they ask you at the front desk.
Well, it's probably good. It's you, because you might still about it.
Well, it is a good advice, though. If you've got allergies or other special dietary needs, you'll need to call. You should call 24 hours before. Just,
And they'll make accommodations. They're usually very, very good about that.
Oh, yeah. Steve also writes, much hoopla is made on several podcasts and even newswire reports about Disney changing the bathroom products to the new H2O line, where none of the 133,000 employees in charge of making sure that the new round of bars of soap actually fit into the rectangular soap dishes in their 20,000 or so hotel rooms. We had to go through 4 days' worth of showers just before the soap shrunk enough to fit without sliding onto the floor. Just an observation.
I don't think they had the faintest idea. I'm sure that's all comes down to money, and maybe people were saying that they want a larger bar.
I guess so.
Something to do with Americans being overweight and needing to cover more surface area. I don't know. I should probably stop talking now.
Next email comes from Patrick and Lydia of Nashville, Tennessee. Right, hey guys, great podcast. My wife and I are addicted, and your advice will be put to use soon. Due to a fortuitous set of business trips, 2007 is turning out to be the year of the mouse for us. We'll use our annual pass first on February 13th, then for at least 3 or more visits before they expire in 2008. Mouse Fest maybe have to be one of those. The two, and Patrick actually writes in with a show idea. It says, park opening strategies. For us, guerrilla lens-style touring plan aficionados, could you describe the characteristics of each park's opening, generally what turnstiles to go to, what to look for, like the robotic tree at Animal Kingdom, and what to listen for, announcements chattering amongst the cast members, etc., so that you can maximize the 30 to 60 minutes you wait prior to getting into the park. It's a great show idea, actually.
Yeah, well, let's do that. That'll be great.
We
started that with Power Hour, but that's sort of the whole leading up to it. I like it.
He writes, Patrick and Lydia write, P.S. We're paid members of touringplans.com and bought the 07 guide. Go Steelers. Wow, someone is drinking the Kool-Aid.
Oh, wow. Thank you so much. We'll start a fan club. Maybe I'll do a MySpace page.
They need salvation.
Exactly.
Next email is from Kai of Manchester, United Kingdom, who writes, in June, my wife and I are expecting...
Go ahead.
Okay.
Probably not the Kai that I know from Manchester. But go ahead.
No, I think it is. I think she's written in a few times actually.
The Kai knows a guy, so this is probably not.
Oh, never mind.
Kai's a guy.
Anyway, Kai writes, in June, my wife and I are expecting our first child. We are planning on going to the world next September or October. What is your advice for taking a child who is only just 12 months old? Would you advise against it? We would be going for 2 weeks and possibly staying at Port Orleans Riverside. That's good.
Did I ever tell you guys about my invention of the Velcro wall babysitter?
No.
It involves putting a large piece of Velcro on the wall and sticking the baby up there. Nothing, I mean, relatively few bad things can happen to anyway.
I'm sure Hannah's going to live a really warm and nurtured childhood.
Exactly.
It won't have any
probably
issue.
back 8-9 hour stops.
Scopa?
Number one, I'd like to know if the person who sent that question is, do they indicate if it's Kai? So they've been there before. So they've.
Yeah.
Okay.
Well, she's emailed the show before.
I mean, so they know what they're getting.
She.
It. Now, it's one thing to have been there without kids, unfettered, as Kramer would say, but
unfettered.
then when you
unburdened
down there with kids for the first time, you don't understand. That was my son. Give me a kiss goodbye. You don't understand.
Terrific.
You don't understand what it is to be with a child all day long in a theme park. So, especially a 12-month-old infant. I mean, not an infant, but still. I mean, that's a big draw on your energy, and you have to make sure that the baby is well taken care of and stuff. I just don't recommend it at all. I don't see anybody should. I don't think anybody should go to a Disney theme park unless, number one, the child is diaper trained, is potty trained or whatever, and two, the child would not be frightened by large.
I think once they can walk, and the frightened, but although it's really hard to tell ahead of time, but I would say at least walking, like good walking, not like stammering. Like Len does on Friday nights.
Stepping around?
Yeah. I mean, real walking, I would say that's the prerequisite. We've got time for a quick question from Sarah Grigsby of Iowa. First, I want to start by saying that you guys do a terrific podcast and is one of the few Disney podcasts I listen to every week no matter what. My question is, I made reservations for my family, and I stay at Coronado Springs Resort in August of 2007. And I was wondering which rooms or building I should request to be closest to the first bus stop. I also want to say that I love the Scopa Special at Le Cellier, and Len's books are great.
Thank you. So it's the closest rooms to what, Matt?
The closest rooms to the first bus stop.
Closest rooms to the first bus
at
stop?
Coronado Springs.
Oh, man.
I'm looking it up on the map now. Please, talk amongst yourselves.
Yeah, me too.
I don't think Scopa, myself and Scopa, we're not fans of Coronado Springs, right?
Why? Why not?
It's, I don't know. It's
kind of spread out, kind of weird.
It's large, yeah, and it's I don't like the whole business. All the business people who go there just bother me.
Yeah, that's it, Matt. They're all on the left side.
But
I don't want to see suits when I'm down there. Sorry.
I don't want to see suits. All right, so the closest is probably Casitas.
Okay, I was going to say Casitas.
Casitas 1. Well, let's see. Actually, okay, so it's tough to say. So the first bus stop is probably the main lobby, which would mean Cabanas 9B like boy. That's the closest. Then bus stop 2, Casitas 4 is the closest. And I've actually stayed in Casitas 4 before. There's a little quiet pool there. It's fabulous. I really like Casitas 4. Ranchos 6A is by bus stop 3. And Cabanas 8B is by bus stop 4. But if you're in Rancho 6A, you're almost diametrically opposed to the lobby and the restaurants and the shopping and stuff. That's going to be a hike. So I would say Cabanas 9B is probably your best choice, Sarah. And after that, Cabanas 9A is probably not too far away. Other than that, then it's sort of a toss-up between walking to the nearest bus stop and then walking to the lobby. So that's what I would say.
Scary. Scary.
Why?
Because you're able to give an answer. The detail,
The detail,
like you should write a book or something.
Yeah, why don't you write a book?
Dude, save it for the book.
Save it for the book. Well, that's it for us today. Again, this show has been sponsored by MEI Mousefan Travel, specializing in cruises and packages to Disney and other vacation destinations around the world. For current offers, just visit their website at www.mousefantravel.com, or if you're in North Carolina, just yell for Annette. And that's it for us today. If you want to find older episodes, read our show notes, or send us your comments, visit the Walt Disney World Today website at wdwtoday.com. You can also email us at questions@wdwtoday.com. For Len Testa, Mike Scopa, and Mike Newell, I'm Matt Hochberg. I'll see you and Len and Scopa and Newell on the next show.